You're tuned in to the Tithing Hoax podcast, where we offer teachings, commentary, and insights about false tithing doctrines and the prosperity gospel. I am your girl, Renee. I am your host. Thank you for tuning in. And today's topic is a hot mess in a church in Ghana. There's a bad breakup between the pastor and some former members, and it has gotten really ugly and really petty. And that's what I'm going to talk about in just a moment, right after this brief message. Stay locked in. So, today's podcast is sponsored by the Tithing Hoax, exposing the lies, misinterpretations, and false teachings about tithing. Inside this Amazon best-selling book, you'll discover the truth about the tithe the church doesn't want you to know. Free yourself from the tithe deception today. Get your copy of the Tithing Hoax on Amazon.com and wherever books are sold. Now, let's get into this mess. Okay, there's a church in Ghana, okay? You talk about a house divided. That's an understatement. But the church is called Resurrection Power New Generation Church. And there has been some type of beef going on between the pastor and some former members. And the former members are led by a reverend who is a member of this church, or I guess now former member. Now, the article I came across, it doesn't provide any background into why these members have left this particular church, but it just gets into the fallout. And so we have a situation where in this church, the pastor has gone all the way in on the members who left his church. And he was so ticked off that he said, you know what? You want to leave my church, or you've left my church, and I cannot make this stuff up. And he is like, I'm not mentioning the names mainly because I don't want to mess up anybody's name. But the pastor's first name is Anthony. And so his first, okay, pastor, I just say Pastor Anthony. And the reverend who is kind of leading the pack of the former members, his name is Reverend John Paul. So I'll just say that. So Pastor Anthony is feeling a certain kind of way because he has these members who have left his church. And so he's like, you know what? If you're going to leave my church, this is what's going to happen. You know, all those blessings that you received while you were worshiping in my church, I want all those blessings back. That's right. He wants all the blessings returned from his former members. Okay? So it doesn't stop there. So that's his stance. You leave my church, you need to leave all those blessings here at my church. Return the blessings that you got from me. Okay? So Reverend John Paul, who's one of the former members, he's like, oh, okay, that's how you want to do this, Pastor Anthony. I tell you what. So on the day of your 19th pastor's anniversary, this is what we're going to do. We're going to demonstrate and demand on that day that you return all of the tithes and offerings that we paid your behind while we were members of your church. And on top of that, you know, Reverend John Paul puts dude in check. He puts Pastor Anthony in check and say, first of all, and finally, keep in mind that all those blessings that we received come from God and don't come from man. So I want to chime in on this house divided in this church in Ghana, because there are some lessons here, and it says a lot about the state of the church in general. So all my folk out there in Ghana, this is not about Ghana or Ghanaians. This is speaking to the body of Christ globally, and it shows that how what's the word? It's just another demonstration of the issues that that exists within the church system. And I reference church system or the institution of the church because I'm gonna tell you, and I'm not gonna get all the way into it in this podcast. But look, there's a difference between the church of the Bible and the church that we see today. Because the church of the Bible was not a building. And I'm just going to leave it at that, let that marinate, and down the road, that is something I get into later on. But anyway, so let me chime in on my thoughts about this. First of all, Pastor Anthony is being so petty. First of all, he's being petty for being mad at people leaving his church. Now, again, there is no background information as to why the people have left his church. I don't know how many people have left his church, but I'm just thinking, I'm not sure, but I'm thinking it's probably a significant number of members who are left, for him to get so bent out of shape and to go in on them like, hey, leave these blessings. I want my blessings back. you know. So it's kind of petty for him to get mad because if there is a significant number, even if it's not a significant number, that's relative, all relative. If for members to leave a church, there's a reason. And it may be a justifiable reason why they left his church. So instead of him, getting mad at them and try to take vengeance out on them, and threatening them, so you better return those blessings, maybe he should take the time to sit with them and find out, okay, well, what was the issue? Why do you want to leave? And see if there can be some kind of reconciliation, or see if there's something that can be, fixed or remedied. But like I said, I don't know all the circumstances around them leaving, but I think it is kind of petty for him to get mad at people leaving his church. Because there may be a very good reason, a justifiable reason why they are leaving that church. Now, the second point I want to make, I think is pretty petty of the pastor to request that they return the blessings. Where they do that at? How do you return blessings? I mean, please make that make sense. Like Reverend John Paul said, God gives the blessings. Any blessings that people received while they were at your church, pastor, those blessings came from God. Each of us is a vessel. Pastor, you're a vessel. The people in your church are vessels. We are all created, those of us who are the children of the Most High, we are vessels for our Father. And the Father is there to work in us and through us. And so any blessings that people receive, they receive not from us, but through us. So you need to humble yourself and recognize you were just the vessel. Your ministry was the vessel. And God is the source. So you're not even in any position or authority to claim or request that people return the blessings to you or to your church. So you just totally out of pocket. And I don't know what kind of blessings he's talking about. Now, even if it's a situation where this pastor actually took his personal resources and may have blessed these members financially, or he helped them out in some kind of way, in a very hands-on sort of way, first of all, you still cannot lay claim for them to return whatever you gave them, because if you truly gave in the spirit of generosity and in the spirit of love, first of all, you recognize you're the vessel, you're not the source of the blessings. And if you gave, you give from your heart, you give it, you let go. And understand that whenever you give, according to the kingdom law of giving and receiving, what you give, and you give with the right intentions, what you give is going to come back to you anyway. Don't you know God is going to bless you? So if you actually bless people personally in your church, and you did it from your heart and you did it with love, the Father's going to recognize that. And if those people leave their church, regardless of for whatever reason they left, whether it's justified or not in your eyes, but guess what? If you did the right thing by those people, God's going to bless you anyway. You're going to get a return on your blessing. So you don't have to demand a return of the blessings for the people you gave to, if you gave, especially if you gave with the right heart and with the spirit of love and the spirit of generosity. And finally, what I want to say about this situation is that it shows the level of arrogance with this pastor. And this arrogance is not unique, unfortunately, in the church system, within the institution of the church, because a lot of these pastors are so arrogant because the people sitting in those congregations have placed these men and women of God on a pedestal. You've put them and placed them above you, and you think they're better than you. You think you think that they have a closer walk with God than you do, that they have a direct line to the Most High that you don't have, and people worship these pastors. So a lot of pastors are very arrogant and very ego-centered and ego-driven, because you know what? They're really feeding off the energy that the congregation gives them. So a lot of them think they can't do anything wrong. And so I can see why this reaction he has about people leaving. It's like, you leaving me? You leaving my church? It's almost like, you know who I am? Who are you to leave me? So I'll pick up on the spirit of arrogance. And this is not about this particular pastor, about me going in on him, but this is about using this situation to draw or shed light on that kind of spirit of arrogance that is present in the institution of the church. And with that arrogance also comes a sense that this church is mine. This is my church. This spirit of ownership and possession of the church and the members in the church, where you have arrogant pastors have a mentality of, this is my church, you are my members, you belong to me. Again, so how dare you leave me? What you gonna leave me? You gonna leave my church, and you're gonna take the blessings that you got while you were here? So again, what's the issue here? First of all, pastor, any pastor, that church the real church, see, I don't want to get into this, but there's a difference between the real church and the fake church. And we got a lot of fake church around this globe. Because in a fake church, man thinks he owns the church. Man thinks he's the head of the church. That's the problem. But it is Christ who is the head. So pastors, humble yourself. The members don't belong to you. It is Yeshua HaMashiach who paid the price. We belong to God, the Most High. We don't belong to any man. So if you're sitting in these church pews, you don't belong to the pastor. Keep in mind, he's not the head of the church. Get your eyes off that pastor and keep your eyes on Christ. Keep your eyes on the Most High. And take these pastors off these pedestals. I'm telling you what, this is what's you're going to see more of. It is the Most High that is going to remove these arrogant, ego-centered pastors, and it's God who's going to knock them off their pedestals. And that is what we're going to see more of. I just believe that. That's what we're going to see more of. They're going to be humbled More and more of these pastors are going to be taken off their pedestals, and they're going to be humbled by the hand of the Most High. But I just thought this was an interesting situation, because this is like what's going on in this church in Ghana is like a bad breakup. You know what I'm saying? You know those situations where, you have, friends, best friends who fall out, or a couple that falls out, and then it's like, you know what? All that stuff I bought you, all that stuff I gave you, I want my stuff back. And then she's like, okay, you want that back? Okay, well, I want back all that good loving I gave you. I want to get all that back. It's like, what? Say what? How does that work? It's just so silly. It's funny, but it's silly and sad at the same time. But there is a message that I think we all can learn in all of this situation. And it just sheds a light on problems that exist within this modern day church system. And it's time for a change. But anyway, I'm not going to ramble on anymore. I do have a couple of questions that I want you to leave your comments to. So the first question is, do you think the pastor is being petty for requesting that his former church members return the blessings that they received while they were worshiping at his church? And the second question is, what do you think about the former members? I think I mentioned that, yeah. What do you think about the former members requesting the pastor give them back all their tithes and offerings? So, just leave your comments below. And what do you think about all of this? And in the meantime, I'm Renee. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening. And until next time, be blessed. And I'm out. Peace.